Hey and welcome, I'm Dan Thorpe. Today I want to talk about 9 things I would change if I started playing guitar again. Back when I started, I made all the mistakes you can imagine. I really struggled, I really didn't focus on the fundamentals. There's a lot of things that held me back. So today I'm going to teach you and talk about some of these things that can help save you a lot of time, particularly if you're frustrated or you found guitar playing a challenge. I shared these tips recently with my email list. If you want to join the email list, you can go to fingerstyle101.com/free. You can get my emails there as well. Okay, so the very first thing I want to talk about is strumming patterns. I never knew any strum patterns when I started out. So if there was a song, I'd just be like trying to wing the rhythm. And I'd be like, just try and feel it. But instead, what I should have done is learn one strum pattern and get really good at it. You know, the down, down, up, down, up strum pattern. That's a really solid, fun strum pattern. You can do loads with it, you know. You could strum it like that, you could pick strum it. You can do some sort of percussive hits. Sorts just with that one strum pattern. It's really, really good. Now, I play that strum pattern in my sleep now, I can do loads with it. And what I recommend you do is get one strum pattern that you're really, really comfortable with, and then you can start spicing it up, embellishing it. That would have saved me a lot of time. The second thing I wish I'd have done a lot more of was jamming with others. I used to, think, oh, it's okay, I can learn in my bedroom and I'll practice and practice and practice. And then one day, somebody's going to hand me, like a shiny key that's going to unlock a magical door, and I'll walk through that door and, I'll be playing Wembley or something. But it wasn't like that. Nobody handed me the key. I had to go and do this sort of stuff and play and learn on the job, so to speak, as I'm out there. It wasn't like, you're ready one day. That day never comes if you wait. So the key thing is with jamming is that you just do it as soon as possible. So if you want to find somebody to jam with, just find somebody who's just easygoing and kind, maybe somebody who's not that much better than you, just a little bit better than you, so that they know what it's like to be in your shoes, and then just have a laid back jam. Just play some things for each other, okay? Learn 1 or 2 songs, learn a few chords, get them to do the same, and if you know a couple of basics of theory, you can get jamming with them. For instance, if you want to play like a chord progression like C, A minor, F, G. Now you can play an easier version of F, that's okay. And then they could play a scale like the A minor pentatonic scale. Or the C major scale. So you could just play some little licks while they strum the chords. Something really simple like. Just take it from the scale while they strum the chords. That sort of thing. It just doesn't matter. You just try stuff out. You get locked in with the rhythms and you experiment. Okay, so jamming is really powerful. You'll learn a lot just by doing some simple jams. At the end of this video, I'm going to strum some chords and you can just jam along with me. Either strum the chords or pick out some notes or play some little melodies from the scales we talked about. Okay, so we'll try that at the end. Next one. Okay, and this one I want to talk about the capo, because the capo is my friend, okay, and it's your friend as well. If you're struggling, put a capo on, because it can make things easier, particularly the chords, okay? Capos are great for helping train your fingers for chords. So if you struggle to play a C chord, say down there, because it's a bit of a stretch and your fingers are kind of collapsing into each other and it's a struggle, put a capo on, let's say fret 5, and play the chord there. You'll find that it's just easier in a lot of ways. There's less of a stretch, okay? So your fingers don't have to force and battle. So that way you can get into playing with good technique and a nice relaxed touch rather than fighting and battling, okay? So you get good with the capo at fret 4. Let's say that C chord, yeah? And then, fret 4. After you've done fret 5, then you try fret 3. And eventually over the weeks, your fingers will stretch that bit more, and the capo can really help promote good technique. So if you're struggling with chords, particularly a C, and big stretchy chords, capos can really help. I wish I'd have done more of that. And another thing I wish I would have done was learn songs by ear. Now, I was lazy, I ain't gonna lie. It was hard work learning songs by ear, and it still takes a lot of focus and concentration now, because you know what? In this day and age, it's really easy just to type on the internet how to play a certain song, insert whatever song it is. You just type it in and you can find either the tab, you can find a video, and it's pretty rare that you might come across a song where there isn't a tutorial or a tab. So it's easy just to learn that. But in the old days, so many musicians, and I'll all talk about it even now, They would sit there with their vinyl, they'd put it on, play the record over and over and over and work it out one note at a time and really listen. And it's no coincidence these old school players who did that a lot, are really, really good musically. They learned so much about music, finding notes on the fretboard and just developing their musical skills. My best friend used to do it because we started learning around the time that the internet wasn't really popular. There wasn't much in terms of tutorials. We didn't have the internet either at my house or his house. So I'd go around his and he would just learn songs by ear and I'd be like, wow, how did you do that? It's like magic. I was like, no way, I couldn't believe it. And it was just a very methodical thing he'd do. So he'd just work something out little by little and piece it together. If you just want to work out something simple, start with like little melodies or little riffs, little bass lines and stuff like that. Simple stuff like that, really, really basic. You don't want to start off with like complicated, kind of like full-on Travis picking type stuff. Because there's a lot of notes going on there. That's just on one chord. So you start off with something simple that you can hum, ideally. Some sort of melody, some sort of riff. That's a great place to start. Another thing I wish I would have done more of is use one of these little bad boys, okay? A lot of people hate these. This is obviously a metronome. And so many people just get scared by them, they get frustrated by them. And the problem is a lot of people teach beginners how to use a metronome in a really, really bad way. What they'll say is put a metronome on at like 100 beats per minute and play 2 notes every beat and play this scale, like the major scale or minor scale. And that's a lot. I mean, for a lot of beginners, they struggle just to play the scale and play it smoothly and cleanly. And then they're forced to play it at a fast tempo. It's really hard. So what I tell all my beginners, students to do is just get confident using a metronome. To do that, you can set it at 60 beats per minute and then just literally just strum a chord on beat 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and change. 2, 3, 4 and try it with me. C, 2, 3, 4 and G, 2, 3, 4. And that will just help you get in that groove, and you tap your foot to the beat, nod your head, really feel the pulse of the metronome, and then you can layer it up by adding more strums in and more picks and stuff like that on other beats. But that's a really good starting point. I wish I'd have done a lot more of that, because that would have got me confident just with the idea of using a metronome and tapping my foot and getting a basic rhythm, and that would have saved me years. Okay, and one thing I wish I'd have done more of is record myself playing every week. And what I should have done was just get a little recorder and record myself. After a few years of playing, I did buy a little dictaphone, a little tiny cassette dictaphone, and I'd record myself playing, and I used that more for ideas for the band I was in. So I'd create a little piece of music, a little riff, I'd record it, and I'd play it to them, and it would help me remember these bits. But I didn't realise actually recording myself was so powerful, because I'd listen back and I'd think, what the hell was that I was playing? And I'd be like, that sounds rubbish. And then I'd realise, I'd be like, oh, that was a riff I spent about 3 hours trying to write and create, and it sounded rubbish. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, what's that next riff? And I'd be like, oh, that sounds great. And then I realised that was a little riff I'd just come up with just like that, and I hadn't even thought about it. And I was like, wow, I was overcomplicating things so much, and just listening back helped highlight that. And it was, the recorder was just objective. When I was playing in the moment, I wasn't really aware of these things, how things sounded that much, because I was focused on playing. But having a recorder, it was really objective. It helped me hear where I was sloppy, where I was tight, where I was sounding good, where just things were just gelling. So recording yourself at least once a week, just one little piece. It can be nerve-wracking, but nobody else has to hear it, so don't worry. You play it back, and the more you do it, the more you'll learn, okay? It can be a bit unpleasant the first time you listen back and you think, oh my God, I'm not as good as I thought I was, but that's okay, because it's all about improving. So, if you listen back and realise you're not as good as you'd like to be right now, just accept that that is okay, and you will get better because of this process. If you don't record yourself, you'll never know, and I guarantee your progress will probably be slower. So give it a go, record yourself, just have a thick skin, and don't beat yourself up. Another thing, playing along with recordings. I remember I used to buy Total Guitar magazine back in the day, a really good magazine. It was very random, there's no real clear plan from it, month to month. So you just learn a song, you'd learn a technique, but then I would never really play along with the recordings, even though it would come with a CD. I tried it once or twice and I was like, that's too hard, it's too fast. But when I was playing things on my own, I just realised, okay, it sounds kind of right, the notes are right, but I'm not sure I'm playing them to the right rhythm. And then again, watching my best friend Sefton play, what he would do, he would play along with all the recordings, you know, and it would just be like awesome. Okay, he had this really good rhythm. So I literally had to force myself to play along with a recording, you know, like with that magazine and then just other CDs. And I realised when I was doing it, I was awful. I was out of time. Notes were skewed, skewing the rhythm, playing things too long, playing things too short, and it just didn't sound right. And that was the reason why. And as soon as I played with longer recordings, I was like, oh, okay, now it starts to make sense what I was doing wrong. And then I got better rhythm, got better timing, and I was able to play in a band not long after because everything just got tighter so much quicker. And it was a massive difference for me, that was. So do try that. And practicing with absolute focus. I never did this. I would literally lie on my bed at night watching old Hitchcock films or movies, or Big Brother had just come out, so I'd be lazing around, kind of like leaning back, the guitar would be there, and I'd just be kind of like picking notes every now and then. And I'd be like, oh, okay, and half falling asleep. Do you think I made much progress doing that? Absolutely not. I was not practicing with any sort of focus whatsoever. I wouldn't even call that practice. I'd much rather now, looking back, instead of doing an hour of that a day, I'd much rather have got myself to do 10 minutes of really, really focused practice where everything I'm aware of, my technique's good, and I'm playing with precision. And then I could have gone and done the sort of relaxed practice or playing or jamming after. But practice every time with absolute focus. Try and give yourself 10, 20 minutes a day of really, really focused practice where you're trying to improve something, okay? And the rest of the time you can have some fun, okay? But the thing is, absolute focused practice, really, really focused practice can be fun as well. As long as you relax and, you know, you're really in the zone, you can be really present and really enjoy it. Enjoy the feeling of learning and, engrossing yourself in the notes. All the best musicians do it. Took me a while to realise that. And then another thing I wish I'd have done more of is basically stop beating myself up over false expectations. I always felt I should be better than I was, and to some degree I probably was right. But if I would have followed these other tips, I would have been better than that. That makes sense. So what I should have done was just not beat myself up, be kind to myself, tell myself I'm good enough, but then do all the other tips I've mentioned today. Those things would have really helped. And it's a journey. It's not something we do overnight. We don't get good at guitar in a few weeks or a few months, It's an ongoing thing. So why did I try and pressure myself to think, I should be better than I was? A lot of it is from outside because you watch other people, you see other people, and nobody ever really talks about their struggles on the guitar. Not many people do anyway. So everybody thinks, they're really good. It didn't take them much effort. Why can't I do it? I'm smart, And it's just like, well, actually, that's not the truth. Because if you ask anybody who's learning guitar, pretty much 99% of them will say, when you ask them, in enough detail, that they struggled too. It wasn't easy. Even Eric Clapton struggled. You can read his autobiography. He was embarrassed when he played in a coffee shop to a girl, to try and impress her. Loads of stories like that about famous musicians. Nobody picked it up from day one. The ones who did get good at guitar pretty quick usually played another instrument before and had a musical background. So, they had that advantage. But nobody just picks up this thing and just plays amazing music from day one. So, you've got to remember that. Right. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to have a little jam, you can just strum some chords with me like C, A minor, F, G, and you can play some little melodies, over the top using the C major scale, or if you want to keep it really simple, just play fret 5 and 8 on the B string, 5 and 8 on the high E, and you can just pluck those notes. In time with me. You can just jam those little notes, like I say, some little noodly leads. I can do a lesson on that, how to jam, a bit more detail, but that's just a little bit of an idea to get you going. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. If you want more help from me, go to fingerstyle101.com/secrets. There's a lot there that's going to help you with all your playing, whether you play electric, acoustic, whether you strum, fingerpick, or play blues. It's all there. Simple little course that's going to really help you out, and you can get cracking today. Right, cheers, bye-bye.